My fellow pilots, good morning. I'd like to begin by extending another warm welcome to the JetBlue pilots. It's been a long journey and a tremendous victory. Please accept the support from the more than 51,000 fellow pilots and the many resources available from ALPA. Again, congratulations and welcome. Last year, ALPA announced that the union would reduce the dues rate thanks to ALPA's fiscal discipline and sound financial planning. The 1.9% rate went into effect on January 1st of this year, making the dues rate for active members the lowest ALPA pilots have paid since 1985. Today, I'm happy to say that we're proposing to lower the dues rate again in 2015. We'll have an agenda item for your consideration that will propose a reduction to 1.85%. This great news confirms that your union is staying on a positive course while continuing to provide the unparalleled member services that distinguish ALPA from other pilot unions. Now I'd like to take a few moments to look back at last year's unaudited financial report. We ended the year in 2013 with a consolidated operational deficit of $9.1 million. Entities that constitute the consolidated results include ALPA, the MCF, 1625 Corporation, IPSC, Kitty Hawk, and ALPA PAC. Now, although that number is a hard pill to swallow, there is good news. The good news is that we were able to absorb that deficit through the A&S cash reserves and otherwise preserve the cash balance of the MCF. Furthermore, most of the deficit was attributable to one-time costs associated with legal cases and settlements. To break it down further, professional fees, which include legal and consultant fees, totaled $20 million in 2013. This represented a 42% increase over 2012 activities. Also, Kitty Hawk, our captive insurance company, ended the year with a deficit as a result of the $3 million accrual for the Brady settlement, which I'll talk about in a few moments. You can also see the total dues revenue for 2013 here at $126.6 million. That's a 14% increase over the 2012 dues revenue, and yet another indicator that our trend is positive. Many expense categories remain flat or decreased year over year from 2012. For example, flight pay loss totaled $31 million in 2013, the same as in 2012. ALPA PAC expenses were just over $1 million, which shows continuing support for our pilot partisan agenda. Travel-related expenses totaled $13 million in 2013, which represents a 23% decrease over 2012 costs. A review of ALPA's consolidated operating income for the past 6 months reinforces a positive trend that was in 2012. However, 2013 ended in a deficit situation due to the previously mentioned large increase in legal expenses. This year, we're trending positive for 2014. The 2014 budget dues revenue is $123.5 million, which represents a 7.4% increase over our 2013 budget. Year-to-date dues revenue through March 31st of 2014 totals $34 million, which exceeds our budget estimate by $1.7 million. This year's budget includes strategic initiatives such as the Save Our Skies campaign, which was officially launched this month, and the Legislative Summit coming up at the end of May. This slide breaks out the dues, actual and projected, dating back to 2002 through 2014. Again, you can see the 2014 budgeted dues revenue is $123.5 million, and as of March 31st, actual dues revenue of $34 million. Now, when compared to 2002 dues income, you can see that we have a ways to go before getting back to our peak, but if you compare it to 2008 and 2009, you can see how far we have come and the progress we have made in restoring your union's finances. Thanks to your focus on financial discipline, the OCF's current balance is $5.1 million. The fund is stable due in part to the additional $200,000 off-the-top allocation of dues income that was put into place last year. Several MECs are also repaying OCF loans out of surpluses. ASA, ATI, Airtran, Jazz, Mesa, Endeavor, and Piedmont paid back about $600,000 in 2013. And Air Wisconsin, Airtran, and Endeavor have returned $260,000 to the contingency fund as of March 2014. And remember, these paybacks only occur out of budget surpluses. Only when an MEC is generating a budget surplus through continued financial discipline are they able to do that. So that's a tremendous effort on their parts. The MCF remains an important strategic asset of the association. The MCF's current balance is $44.6 million. Policies that were put in place to protect the MCF and relieve pressure from the fund included 100% of the Kitty Hawk insurance premium payment that will be paid out of the A&S account in 2014, as opposed to previously from the MCF. All organizing activities previously funded by the MCF were funded entirely by the A&S account and will continue to be into 2014 and 2015. Spending guidelines used to create MEC and MCF budgets were put in place, and in 2013, cash reimbursements from the MCF were suspended for certain legal expenses to keep the cash balance stable and allow the MCF fund balance to grow. Most recently, the Executive Board allocated $1 million from the MCF to support the SOS campaign, which addresses immediate attacks to our profession. For 2014, MECs had the option to defer the elimination of the 401k exemption for its pilots for 1 year. Most MECs chose not to defer, but for the MECs that did, a portion of their MEC income will go into the A&S account to help fund shared union resources for 2014. As in past budgets, ALPA projects the 2014 dues revenue on a monthly baseline dues revenue adjusted by 3 factors. 1, we look at pay increases in existing contracts. 2, we look at projected airline growth and pilot hiring, or reductions in capacity and pilot payroll. And we look at pilot pay models that are developed by our Economic and Financial Analysis Department. Looking at the A&S budget, overall, we expect to achieve more this year with the same year-over-year funding for our volunteers who serve on national committees. We're continuing to increase our presence on Capitol Hill and Parliament Hill with the aggressive Deny NAI campaign, which is part of the SOS campaign, and training for our pilot representatives to hit both Hill and home district offices with coordinated and consistent messages communicating our pilot partisan agenda. We invested in the world's largest non-governmental aviation safety and security organization, which happens to be ALPA's Air Safety Organization. By supporting our pilot safety training courses and continuing to offer the successful one-day seminars that Captain Cassidy will refer to in his remarks, raise awareness for those issues, both in government, industry, and with our members. The 2014 budget also reflects our continued commitment to relieve the stresses on the MCF. We're continuing to transition in 2014 as we work to consolidate the operations of merged MECs and now supporting the JetBlue pilots with the resources that they need to meet their goals. Now, as you know, earlier this year, ALPA settled the 11-year-old Brady lawsuit and received a favorable settlement of a legal action and system board case regarding United's indemnity commitment in connection with the 2005 bankruptcy collective bargaining agreement. In the Brady case brought about by former TWA pilots when their airline merged with American, a preliminary settlement was reached that will resolve the case and protect ALPA's viability and its ability to represent our members going forward. Now, that settlement was possible in large part due to ALPA's risk management program, which includes a robust reinsurance program through Kitty Hawk, our captive insurance company. Indeed, ALPA's reinsurers paid roughly half of the $53 million Brady settlement. With proper planning and risk management in place, ALPA's portion of that payment was made without impairing our operations or services, without additional borrowing, without assessing our members and without raising the dues rate. In the United settlement, United and ALPA agreed to settle the system board arbitration, with United agreeing to pay ALPA and our reinsurers most of the amount of the Mansfield settlement. That's reimbursing the amounts to ALPA and the reinsurers that we never should have had to pay in the first place. Now, earlier this year, we held another successful Secretary-Treasurer's Conference. Financial stewards from 14 of ALPA's pilot groups came here to discuss the financial issues and share ideas. ALPA provided our union's elected pilot representatives with training on the policies, practices, and tools that they will need to effectively manage their pilots' dues dollars. As the moderator of the conference, I explained to the group how to honor their fiduciary responsibilities and carefully outlined how dues dollars are allocated to fund the association's activities. I asked them to consider 4 key points while exercising their duties. Remember that it's the pilot's money. ALPA exists on pilot dues income, and we never, ever need or should forget that it's the pilot's money that we're managing. They need to know the rules of the association, and make sure that they're communicated to their fellow volunteers. They need to be mindful of eliminating non-essential activities that don't conform to the strategic plan, and to openly communicate with your members about the association's financial performance. In return, the pilots provided suggestions for possible enhancements and improvements to the overall financial administration of their union, and allow for better coordination through enhanced communication. In closing, I'd like to extend my thanks to you, the Executive Board, for your continued adherence to strict financial discipline. With your relentless focus on the efficient use of your pilots' hard-earned dues dollars, I'm happy to report that for the first time in 12 years, there were no active airlines requiring funding from the contingency fund at the April Executive Council meeting. It is with this accomplishment and with your continued determination that we can serve, protect, and provide the financial stability for our 51,000 members. Now, finally, I cannot conclude my remarks without referring to my speech from the Executive Board last fall. Last October, when I said that our union and our profession will prevail, just like the St. Louis Cardinals will prevail over the Boston Red Sox starting that night, I had no idea how many members of the Executive Board were also members of Red Sox Nation. Well, needless to say, provocative comments like that carried the potential for consequences. And given the outcome of last year's World Series, those consequences will be on full display later today at the National Officer Reception. So I hope to see you all there, and thank you for your attention.